What's up everybody, this is DeAlphaWolf here, and welcome back to Wolf Whales, a channel all about what-ifs, fanfictions, and scenario discussions. In the last part of our what if X-23 joined the MCU scenario, Natasha tried to interrogate X-23 to get any information out of her, but failed to do so. After that, the team converged and were given a full breakdown on her, learning that she indeed wasn't a normal little girl, but was an enhanced human weapon created by Hydra. With no other choice, the Avengers have decided that the best place for her for the time being is with them, though the responsibility seems to have all been delegated to Natasha. After that, Natasha brought her some food to try and get her to open up, but failed to do so. So now that we're all caught up, let's get back into the story. It's been a few days since the incident, and as we rejoin the team, Nat and Clint are currently walking into the kitchen. So how's the wound? I've had worse. Budapest was one hell of a mission, in case you forgot. Trust me, I remember. That's probably the hardest mission that I've ever been a part of. And here I thought motherhood was going to top that, he jokes, pouring himself a cup of coffee as well as pouring one for her. He brings the coffee to the table and sits down. So how is the kid? You getting anything out of her? Nothing, she admits while taking a sip. Though, I guess you could say that progress has been made. She doesn't snarl at me nearly as much as she used to, and only turns her back to me when she starts eating instead of waiting until I've left the room. Well, what about the whole naming thing? Have you tried that? Not yet. Figured it was best to get to know her before that, but I don't think I'll be getting to know her very well. This makes Clint chuckle. Well, glad to know that you're making some headway, I guess. I'm sure you'll have her open like a book in no time. Well, aren't you real funny? I'm sure she'd get a laugh out of that too. Maybe we should go down there and see. Yeah, I'll pass on that, thanks. So, do you have an actual plan for this, or what? A solid one, if that's what you're asking. Well, you better think of one fast. I got a bet going with Stark that you'll pull it off. Glad to see you have so much faith in me, she says, rolling her eyes. And what exactly are the stakes of this bet? Well, if I win, he's buying me a Ferrari. And if you lose, I gotta polish all of his suits. You know, I almost want to fail just to see that, but at this rate, I may not have to. I doubt that I'll be able to get her to crack that easily. She's not like any of the spies that we've dealt with, Clint. I can't just punch and kick my way out of this and force her to trust me. Well, it's true that you can't force her to trust you. You gotta give her a reason to. Show her that everything you've been saying isn't just a load of crap. Show her that you're really capable of being trusted. This makes Nat smile. You know that goes against the first rule of being a spy, right? Don't trust anyone? Yeah, but if that were the case, we'd have bid it back in. Oh my god, this is nothing like Budapest, Clint. You and I remember Budapest very differently. Yeah, I've heard it. Back in the lab, Tony has just finished getting some of the equipment up and running again. It wasn't fully back to capacity, but it would do for what they needed. Bruce walks in, adjusting his glasses and looking at Tony. Looks like you got things up and running again. Not quite, but it'll get the job done. He grabs a nearby tablet, pulling up a few stats. While I was getting things all fixed up around here, I started running scans on the scepter. We were wondering how Strucker got so inventive, and so I started running some scans on the gem. Tony then proceeds to pull up a model of Jarvis, who greets Bruce. Bruce greets him back before returning his attention to Tony. Tony explains that Jarvis is the top-of-the-line UI and runs everything in the company as well as in Avengers Tower. Tony then proceeds to take a scan of the gem and displays it next to Jarvis for Bruce to see. Bruce is amazed at what he's seeing. If you had to guess, what would you say this looks like? It looks like it's thinking. Tony nods at his assessment and explains how he saw some very advanced robotics back in Hydra Lab, and reveals he believes that they were close to discovering artificial intelligence. This could be the key to creating Ultron. Bruce chuckles at this. I thought Ultron was a fantasy. A few days ago, it was. And yeah, there was a setback when the kid went all crazy in here, but this, Bruce? This? If we harness this power and apply it to my Iron Legion protocol? Bruce is skeptical, not really sure if he believes this, so Tony continues. But what if this is the key? What if you were sitting on the beach, sipping margaritas turning brown instead of green, and not looking over your shoulder for Veronica? Don't hate, I helped design Veronica. You did, as a worst case measure. Though, with the kid running around, I'm thinking we might need another one. Maybe a smaller one, though. I was thinking maybe calling her Vicky, Tony. My point is, what if this was a best case scenario? What if the world was safer? What if, next time aliens roll up to the club, and they will, they couldn't get past the bouncer? And then the only thing threatening the planet would be people. Tony sighs and tells Bruce he's going to apply it to the Ultron program. but the Jarvis can't download a data schematic that dense without the scepter. I guess it was pretty lucky that the kid trashed the place because it gives us more time. So what do you say, Bruce? Can you give me at least 3 days? So you're going for artificial intelligence, and you don't want to tell the team about it. That's right, because we don't have time for another City Hall debate. I don't want to hear the man was not meant to meddle medley. I see a suit of armor. Around the world. That sounds like a cold world, Tony. I've seen colder. This one? This very vulnerable blue one? It needs Ultron. And with that, Tony turns and begins working on the Ultron project. Peace in our time. Imagine that. Bruce sighs, still unsure, but decides to join him. The two spend the next few days working constantly, but can't seem to get it to work the way that they want. As the final night creeps upon them, Bruce has already taken his leave to get ready for the party, while Tony stands in the lab trying to figure out what it was that they were missing. Jarvis informs Tony that he will alert him to any progress, but that he should prepare for the guests. Tony agrees and thanks him and leaves. The team is all gathered, everyone in the lounge, mingling amongst their party guests. All except for Nat. Natasha, now in her evening outfit, is making her way to the chamber, a tray of food in hand, and a blanket slung over her arm. Knowing that she was going to be gone for a while, she decided to put extra food and bring a blanket, hoping to appease the girl. As she steps out of the elevator, X-23 turns to her, having gotten used to the routine by now. She moves to the back of the chamber, per usual, and waits for the redhead woman to come in. Natasha types in the code and walks in, her heels clicking on the floor with each step. X-23 watches and waits patiently for her to put the food on the ground, so that way she can go over and get it, while the woman says whatever she's going to say to her. She doesn't really pay attention to what Natasha is saying because to her, it's nothing more than nonsense, just like everything else all the scientists told her before. But this woman hasn't treated her the way they did before. It's no different to her because to her, the situation is still not one that she particularly likes being in, being bound and restrained and not having access to her powers. X-23 takes note of her fancy clothes, but it means little to her. She's surprised, however, when Natasha, instead of putting the tray on the floor and leaving, continues toward her. This puts her nerves on edge and her body goes rigid as Natasha comes to a halt in front of her. Natasha places the food down next to her and kneels so that way she's face to face with the young girl. It's alright, you don't have to worry, I'm not gonna hurt you. The girl says nothing, but continues to stare at Natasha. Natasha slowly and carefully takes the blanket off of her arm, noticing that X-23 flinches at every single one of her movements. When are you gonna start trusting me? She's only met with silence, though it wasn't as if she actually expected her to reply. I guess I can't really expect that when all I've done is bring you food and talk to you outside of this cage like an animal. But like I said before, that's not what you are. You're a kid. And I know you want out, but I can't do that. Not yet. But there is something I might be able to do. Natasha reaches out toward her slowly, careful to try not to startle the girl. Unfortunately for her, this still sets X-23 off because after years of having been under the guise of Hydra, her instincts assume that she was being attacked. Without thinking, she lunges forward and bites Natasha's hand as hard as she can. Natasha pulls back, looking at her right hand that is now bleeding slightly. X-23 looks at her in both fear and defiance, preparing for whatever punishment she assumed she was going to receive. Natasha gives a small smirk, reaching out to her again and placing her hand on the lock of the handcuffs. You got quite the bite there, kid. Not surprising given, well, what exactly else you can do. The digital lock clicks and beeps before unhinging and dropping free from the girl's wrist. X-23 looks at her now free hands in astonishment before looking at Natasha. Think of it as a peace offering. Hopefully, this will help ease your mind a bit. It's not the same as having your powers back, but I figure it's better than nothing. Taking the blanket, she gingerly wraps it around X-23's shoulders, preparing just in case she did try to lunge at her again. Once she sees that X-23 isn't going to move again, she decides that it's safe enough for her to let go and move away. I've got to go. There's going to be a lot of people upstairs, so now it's my turn to have to play nice. So if you can do me a favor and behave for a few hours, I'd appreciate it. Tasha stands up and starts making her way towards the exit, but pauses and turns back to her. Also, Yuki's a name. A real name. I'm not going to go around calling you X-23. You need a normal kid's name. I was thinking... Laura? X-23 continues to look on in stunned silence at Natasha, who smiles before exiting the chamber and adding a quick, "You think about it while I'm gone. Maybe we can talk about it when I get back." And with that, Natasha takes her leave, getting in the elevator and heading upstairs to bandage her hand before joining the boys for the party. X-23 slowly pulls the blanket closer around her shoulders, not really sure how she felt about this interaction. She had expected to be attacked and scolded for what she did. That was always how it went back before. So why was this woman treating her so nicely? X-23 just did not understand. The way this woman treated her and the way she spoke to her, she acted as if she actually mattered, something that the scientists at Hydra had made very clear that she did not, and that she was nothing more than a weapon for them to use. Was this woman going to just try to use her as well, and was trying to soften her up? It didn't seem that way. Her instincts were telling her that maybe this woman wasn't nearly as bad as she seemed, though she couldn't really be sure. As Natasha's words played through her head, she couldn't help mumbling the name that she had left for her to mull over. Laura. So I think this is where we're going to end this part. If you guys enjoyed this, please leave a like down below, leave a comment. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more, and I'll see you guys later.